I thought that since a lot of us have significantly more time to watch some movies these days, I would share with you today my top movies of the year so far. So welcome back. I make movie reviews here on this channel mostly every Sunday. I normally report back on the movies I have seen in cinemas that week and review them here for you. But as you know, things are slightly different at the moment. So there was no movie reviews video for you last week. And today I decided to bring you, well, I attempted to bring you my top 10, but actually I have seen some movies in cinemas this year that I haven't really liked, and so I didn't want to bring those to you. So what I have is my top 6 of 2020 so far, all spoiler free of course, and I then have another 4 that I'm recommending that I saw in 2019 that have recently come to streaming or that I know are on streaming platforms for you to be able to watch. So make sure you are subscribed for more movie reviews. Next week, I will be bringing you my review of Trolls World Tour because I did pre-order that one to watch here. I was excited to see that one in the cinema, but make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that one next week. So let's jump right in. First of all, I have 1917. This one was a bit of an Oscar darling and features 2 soldiers in the trenches in World War I and their journey to take a message to another group of soldiers in trenches way across. I have seen this one either 2 or 3 times in cinemas, and I was lucky enough to see it in Dolby Cinemas first of all. So if you can get this one on streaming, renting, buying, I do highly recommend it. I am not normally a war films type of person, but for me this is more of a like journey quest type film, and of course it is famously shot in that one long shot. There's no breaks. It's meant to look like one long camera shoot, and so for me, directing wise, it should have won Best Director, but you know, I have a whole playlist talking about my Oscars thoughts, so I will leave that one up here in case you haven't seen it. I have my iced coffee in my Enchanted Fandom cup this morning. Always got a discount code in the description box below for you. I believe you can still get this one on their website as well. Then I have Harley Quinn Birds of Prey, which I know you are able to rent right now. This one went from being big in the cinemas to being straight to streaming, so that we could all watch it. This one obviously is a spin-off from Suicide Squad, and again, on paper, you wouldn't think that this would be my type of film because I'm much more of a Marvel girl than I am a DC girl. The DC movies I've seen, I haven't been such a fan of, but I love the fact that this is a girl squad kicking ass, taking names. I really like the humor in this film. I really like the cinematography. I love the soundtrack. I came out this film and put the soundtrack on in my car immediately. It's just a real, for me, it's a real feel-good film, and that's why I went to see it multiple times in the cinema. I saw it in Dolby, I saw it in IMAX, and I just really enjoyed it. A lot of people say that, you know, Harley Quinn's a fairly good side character, so she can't make it as her own movie, but you know, it's Birds of Prey, so it's not just Harley Quinn. You know, it's Birds of Prey and the Emancipation of the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn. I always miss the word Fantabulous in the title, but yeah, I like the setting. I like there's a bit of feeling in there, there's a bit of meaning in there. Basically, it has just a little bit of everything in a film that I like. So whilst initially on paper it wouldn't seem like my kind of film, actually the humor and the feel good and the kind of women helping each other and standing up for each other type of thing is something that I enjoy, and a good soundtrack, so highly recommend that one. Then we have Just Mercy, which is Michael B. Jordan playing a lawyer who basically ends up helping various prisoners who are on death row. He trains up at I can't remember if it's Harvard or Yale now. I feel like it's Yale, but it might be Harvard. This one also stars Brie Larson, who is amazing in everything that she does, and Jamie Foxx, who really gives a lot to his performance, but it is about justice, and it is about racism, and it is about class systems, and how all of those things come into play when you are arrested or accused of a crime, and how they shouldn't, but they do. And yeah, it's one of these like triumphant feel-good films. It's based on a real story. There is also a book of it, which I didn't know beforehand, because you know I would have done the book versus movie if I'd known beforehand, but I didn't. But yeah, just really, really recommend this one. Then I have another one which technically came out Christmas Day 2019, but I didn't see it until 2020. What year are we in now? Are we still in 2020? So this one is Little Women. If you've been following my channel for a while now, you will know that as part of the Oscar film pass that I bought to go and see the Oscar films from Regal, I ended up seeing this multiple times. So I first of all saw it with a friend at our dine-in cinema here in Denver, and it was really good. And then I watched it again, and I was like, oh yeah, I get little extra bits here. And then I watched it again, and I was like, yeah, totally in love with Florence Pugh here. And then I watched it again, and I was like, oh. So this one is obviously based off of the book by Louisa May Alcott, and it is another adaptation of her book. I am a big fan of the Winona Ryder, Susan Sarandon adaptation, but as much as I love that one, they did this one differently, and so I have room for both in my life. They adapted this one. It isn't completely linear in terms of its like order. It doesn't go chronologically. We have some flashbacks and we have some jump forwards, and I really like that they did that with it. This one is very much about Joe and Amy and their storyline. I feel like there's less of Laurie, Teddy, there's less of Meg, there's less of Beth, which, you know, I'm okay with, because obviously Beth's story is sad, and whilst I did cry every time I saw this film, it, you know, it wasn't all because of poor Beth. But yeah, I really like what they did with it. I watched quite a few interviews with Greta Gerwig about her directorial choices, about her, like, the way they chose to do the cinematography, the way they chose to edit certain scenes in certain orders. And I was then able to see it again after having watched all those interviews. I went on a bit of a deep dive, a Greta Gerwig deep dive, and I just appreciated so much more. And if you're looking for a feel-good film right now, this one is one for you. Also one that just came to Disney Plus. This was one of the last movie reviews that I posted whilst I was still going to the cinema, and this is Onward, the new Pixar film, and this is Tom Holland, Chris Pratt, in a land where it was all dragons and magic, and then they discovered technology. So this one doesn't have any human characters in it, a bit like A Bug's Life, but we do have sort of feral unicorns, and we do have badass winged lion ladies. And yeah, it's a bit of an underdog story, and it's a bit of a family is what you make it story. I still haven't watched this again, because I'm kind of like saving it for a time when I can sit down and be completely immersed in it again, like I was at the cinema. When I saw it at the cinema, I didn't know everything was going to close, and I was like, yes, I'm definitely going to come and see this again, definitely going to come and see this again. And then, like, you know, 5 days later they were all closed. So I want that cinema experience again. And, you know, school holidays have just started in many places, so if you've got the kids at home, highly, highly recommend this one. I'll leave my standalone review linked up here as well, because I do go into slightly more detail on that one, but really, really recommend. And then one that I saw twice, was supposed to have seen 3 times in cinemas this year. I maybe was supposed to have seen it 4 times, but snow stopped me. This is Parasite. This is the film that won all the Oscars at this year's Oscars. We have like director, best foreign film, sorry, best international film, now it changed, best picture, like all the awards it won. And yeah, the screenplay of this one is so interesting. You can't say a lot about it until you know that the other person that you're talking to has seen it, and as always, these are spoiler free. But yeah, this is a good film. It's a shocking film. It's not necessarily one to watch with the family because there are scary points in it. And yeah, it is very good. And once you know, you know. And seeing it again for the second time in cinemas, I was like spotting so many bits of foreshadowing and things that I missed the first time. So recommend watching it more than once. So if you're renting this one, see if you can have time to watch it twice in that 48-hour period. See if you can. I'm not going to say any more about that one, but you know, Parasite, recommend, one of my top 6 films of the year so far. Then the 4 films that I recommend, 3 of these are on Disney Plus. I know one of these isn't on Disney Plus in the UK yet, but it's coming. There's not long to wait. And one of these is on Amazon Prime because it is an Amazon Prime original. So that Amazon Prime film is Honey Boy. This is the one that I was really upset got snubbed at the Oscars because our 2 main characters in this one are just portrayed so well. And again, I've kind of been waiting for like a slot of time to rewatch this one on Prime because it came to Prime so quickly after I'd seen it in cinemas. I feel like I waited and waited and waited and waited for it to finally come to my movie theatre. It was in New York and it was in California and it was in like a couple of indie cinemas, and I knew it was coming to mine because mine's, you know, one of these big 24 screen cinemas. We get the indie films. It's so good. And the little like triangle thing on the corner of the poster, the date was like this date, this date, this date, and then it just changed to be like coming soon. I'm like, oh no, this needs to come now. I'm seeing trailers for this again and again. And this is basically like a semi-autobiographical film about a guy who gets into acting, and we see him as a young actor just starting out, and you've got these parallels with what you know about Judy Garland when she first started out, and these parallels with kind of like Gypsy and the like pushy parent and the child earning more than the parent and the child being kind of the breadwinner of the household. And then we see how it's affected him in the future. And yeah, again, I don't want to say too much about it because it's quite a slow film, so not like a whole lot happens, and I don't want to give spoilers away, but you know, the way that being in the industry at a young age can affect a person and affect a child and then affect them in later life. But the acting was just spectacular, and the writing is great. The fact that it's like semi-autobiographical, and it's just, yeah, quite slow and quite quiet and highly emotional, and I really recommend it. And then the 3 that are on streaming Disney Plus now or coming soon, obviously the first of these is Toy Story 4. I see the poster for this one and I'm like, oh. Basically, I want to sit and watch Toy Stories back to back to back. And it'll make me want to be in Toy Story Land at Disney's Hollywood Studios, and I can't right now. And so I think that's one of the reasons I've been putting it off a little bit. But obviously, highly recommend this one. If you've got time, watch them all back to back. Obviously, get your tissues ready because Toy Story 3 is such a weepy one, as you know. Cried a little bit at Toy Story 4, not a ton. I was worried I was going to cry loads, but I didn't. But the music, the animation, these films are just epic, and I loved Toy Story 4 last year. It was definitely one of my favourite films that I saw, and it's stuck in my mind. And again, they could have made it basically the same as the first 3 films, but they didn't. They did something different with it, and I respect them for that. The next one that I saw multiple times in the cinema, and one that I did manage to see in the cinema this year as well because I wanted that feel good, it's Frozen 2. Definitely darker than Frozen 1, definitely closer to the more traditional Nordic tales, apart from a couple of soldiers in there. Say no more. The music in this one I really, really like. Into the Unknown, what what's the one called? Is it Alone in the Woods or In the Woods? Where he's singing and you've got all the like singing reindeer around him. I love that scene. Again, I'm yet to watch it at home because I want to carve out some time where I can actually sit and watch it properly, but I did see this one multiple times in the cinema, and I'm sure that if you are a parent and you have Disney Plus, you have seen this one multiple times in your own home. I feel sure of that. And then obviously we have Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. Saw this one 3 times in the cinema. 3 of them were this year. It is the first film I saw in 2020, and that was a conscious decision. Saw it in IMAX, saw it in Dolby, saw it in a regular screen, and all of them were fantastic. Obviously it was best in Dolby, so if you're going to watch this one at home, get your speakers out, turn them up, get that immersion surround sound thing going on. This one made me cry less each time, but I did still cry every time, obviously. And I'm excited to add this one onto our May the 4th Star Wars watching. Although, why wait for May the 4th if I'm going to watch all the Toy Story films back to back? Let's move on to Star Wars films after that. I know a lot of people are kind of rewatching them right now, and yeah, it's a good form of escapism, that's for sure. So there you have my 10 film recommendations, my top 10, if you like, or my top 6 of 2020, and 4 other films to make it up to 10. But these are all films that I recommend. They're all films that I like. I will try to have linked my standalone video reviews linked up here for you. As I say, make sure you are subscribed so that my future movie reviews land in your subscription feed. I will be back with more bookish content on Tuesday and Thursday. This week my uploading pattern is generally Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, so click that bell so that you're notified when I drop a new video. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and as always, if you have streaming recommendations for me right now rather than cinema recommendations for me right now, drop them in the comments below, and I will see you in the week for some bookish chat.